Parsha Vayishlach has the ultimate confrontation between Esav and between Yaakov. Esav and Yaakov, that Rabbi say, was not just a battle of two brothers for supremacy within their own family unit. It was, in a sense, the ultimate battle throughout the ages of good versus evil, of positive forces of spirituality versus the negative forces of the Yetzer Hara. Because the story about Yaakov returning back for his Pachim Ketanim and staying overnight on the other side of the camp, being all alone, and being attacked by the Sar Shel Esav, by this demonic force that says Chazal is the Hu Yetzer Hara, Hu Satan, Hu Malach HaMavis. The Sar Shel Esav, they represented way more than just some representation of Esav. So when we have this battle, when Yaakov Avinu was in this confrontation, he well knew that him emerging victorious was way more than just an immediate battle right now of some wrestling match, which was way beyond the wrestling match. But he knew that it would have far-reaching implications as far as the future generations. So this was a battle, and I'm certainly not up on Lahavdul Elef Havdalos, on all the recent seemingly almost endless movies of good versus evil that they seem to be going on, hit the scene every year. It's, oh, Rabbi, you got to see it, and people lining up 2 o'clock in the morning before. You had to see the exact same thing of this concept. So I guess you should be mesmerized by good versus evil, because apparently it has, if you couch it up in the right form, we maybe just have to make it more exotic for you. But really, this is a battle that dwarfs any movie in terms of importance, in terms of implications, in terms of drama. This is it, Rabbi Say. This is the ultimate battle of so-called gladiators versus whoever else there is out there. And again, I should have brushed up a little bit more on the lingo about the good versus evil guys of the last 5 years. But you know what I'm saying. So let's analyze this for a second. Let's take a glimpse into this battle and see what emerged at the end of it. There's a lot that we can learn. Because as this battle is going on, the Torah tells us that there was some ability for the Sar Shel Esav to impact Yaakov. But Yaakov, of course, while he limped away from the battle, he ultimately was strong and he remained victorious. And the Malach even gave him a bracha that he would ultimately be no longer Yaakov, but Yisrael. This incredible power to sort of lord over people. And to lord and to have a position of supremacy in the world. But a very interesting dialogue takes place, Rabbi said, that we have to remember. I've said this certainly many times over the years, but it's something that we have to reinforce. And if it becomes a classic moment in Vayishlach in our memory, so be it. That's very good. That's something that I would want you to be able to do. Because at the end of the battle, when Yaakov says, when the Sar Shel Esav says, you've got to let me go, I need to get out of here. Light is coming, and I need to move. Bingo. Says Yaakov to the Sar Shel Esav, I'll let you go, but first you have to tell me something. Ma shemecha. What's your name? What is your name? Answer the Sar Shel Esav, very interesting, to look at the psukim and bring this up at the Shabbos table. Again, something that you should always look to come up with something intriguing, and if it's a shmooze, fine. If it's not, find something else to bring up at the Shabbos table. But to answer the Sar Shel Esav, Lama zeh tishal shmi. Why are you asking my name? What's the relevance of asking for my name? Why do you want to know? Which is very strange. When was the last time you remember a pasuk in the Torah that was a conversation between two people that didn't go anywhere? When did that ever happen? When the Torah relates a conversation generally to be instructive. Here the Sar Shel Esav is asked, what's your name? The Sar Shalesav answers, it's none of your business, Yaakov Avinu. And what? So that's supposed to be the end of it? And what is the Torah telling us that for? That can't be the short and long of the conversation and leaving us with nothing to gain from it. Says Reb Chaim Shulevitz, an incredibly powerful point. One that Rabbi said that we need to remember every single day that we are alive in this world. This conversation has an impact and has a message, a very profound message for all of us. Says Reb Chaim Shulevitz, when Yaakov Avinu asks Ma Shemecha, what is your name? A name is very, very critical. We think of names as sort of, representing the new norms of society. If you notice in the secular world, names are new. People make up Loquacia, Latucia, Felicia. Well, Felicia's actually old, but it's amazing. And what names of a typical athlete 30 years ago, you add a la to the front of the name, La Dwayne, La this, or do this, or Ra this, and it's amazing. Okay, you have to add more syllables to the names in order to change the name to make it sound more, more intriguing, more exciting. I'm not sure what they're thinking by adding syllables to names every 10 years or so. But for Klal Yisrael, Rabbi say a name is absolutely critical. Because a name defines the essence of a person. If you're standing at a bris and all you can come up with is some new fangled name after some superstar in the Hollywood industry, that is a sad moment. That's not going to define the essence of who this person needs to be. When you give a person a name at a bris, when you have a girl, Bez Hashem, and you make a Mishaberach and you name that girl, the naming goes to the essence of that particular neshama and defines the greatness and the potential greatness of that neshama. In Lashon HaKodesh, a kisei or a shulchan, the words of the Torah in Lashon HaKodesh go way more than just give a name to something. Lashon HaKodesh goes to the essence of each particular. A kisei is a kisei because those letters that spell out kisei define a kisei. There are books, incredible books written about the power of Lashon HaKodesh. How words define the essence of that particular item in a way that you can't even imagine. The letters are so powerful. Words are even more powerful. So Rabbi say when Yaakov Avinu said, I'll let you go, Sar Shalesav, before I'm going to let you go back and do whatever you need to do in terms of serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I need to know your name, meaning your essence. I need to know what makes you tick. I need to know your modus operandi. I have seen you operate, says Yaakov to the Sar Shalesav. I see how effective you are in bringing evil into this world. I see how you get people to make mistakes and to do things that are not in their self-interest, that are self-destructive, just for the sake of indulgence, for the sake of hurting somebody else, or just decadence that you want to throw yourself into. Who doesn't know that these things are so damaging, and yet somehow we find ourselves doing them again and again and again? And we scratch our heads and we ask ourselves, how could this happen? I'm pretty sure that the movie I just saw I saw some kind of a sign or something, I don't know where I saw it, but I saw some kind of an advertisement for some movie. I'm pretty sure the movie is about, unless it's a fiction, but I'm pretty sure it's about somebody that I talk about every so often, Gary Hart. I think the name of the movie is The Front Runner. I'm not recommending you see it. I don't know what it's. I don't know anything about it other than it's about a political star, okay, who was a front runner. And I'm not sure, but my guess was that it was about Gary Hart, who I believe was 1976, was the front runner for the presidency of the United States, and he was a Democratic candidate. And everyone thought this guy had it all. He was talented. He was brilliant. He was good looking. He had charisma. He was able to handle the media. He was everything you'd want in a presidential candidate. And Rabbi, I don't have to tell you, when you're president of the United States, you are the most powerful man in the world. And he was accused of being a womanizer. And he went up there and he made a press conference and he says, all these rumors about me are not true. I'm a faithful guy. I'm a good guy. I'm not running around with all these who knows what kind of ladies. And I dare anybody to follow me around. Go ahead, media. You want to follow me around 3 o'clock in the morning? You want to check out where I go? Go right ahead. It's quite all right because I have nothing to hide. And he said it with such conviction. You just said to yourself, I remember it. I remember it very clearly. I was 21 years old at the time. I think the year was 76. And you say to yourself, my gosh, this guy really means it. And sure enough, it wasn't a week, Rabbi. It was not a week. I'm not sure if it was even 3 days. Headlines, front page headlines. 2 reporters follow Gary Hart around, and he's found with, and I don't have to tell you the rest of the tawdry tale. And Gary Hart goes down in infamy as one of the biggest jokes in the history of politics. Basically never to be heard of since. I can't remember if this is, again, I don't know if this was about him, but it just sort of seemed from what was the way they wrote about it, that's what it was about. The front runner. The guy who had everything. And you sit there and you scratch your head and you say, how in the world could this happen? Ma shemecha Yetzirah. How in the world, give me your essence, that you can get intelligent people to do the most self-destructive things that make no sense, that defy logic. You say, this guy has it all. How in the world? And you see it in the sports world. You got guys committing murder, sitting in jail right now. Crazy episodes of powerful people, of famous people, of wealthy people who give it all away because of some moment of passion or desire that flushes all down the tubes. Share. Let me hear what. No? But we want to hear interesting ideas. It's important. I'm happy to hear somebody's idea. So Yaakov Avinu, Rabbi, was asking the question for the ages. The question that we as individuals in our own lives need to answer, because we too suffer from this syndrome. We too say, I'm not going to do this, or I'm not going to do that, and sure enough, what do we have? A day later, 2 days later, or a week later, there it is. I'm doing it again. How do I fall into this trap? How is Yetzirah so effective of getting people to do what they don't want to do? What they know is not in their best interest. How does it happen? Says Reb Chaim Shulevitz, the Yetzirah did answer Yaakov's question. When the Yetzirah says, Lama zeh tishal lishmi, he was not answering, it's none of your business, Yaakov. According to Reb Chaim Shulevitz, he was telling him exactly his philosophy. You want to know my modus operandi? You want to know how I get people to do what I want them to do? You want to know how I am so successful at getting people to self-destruct, which is essentially my agenda. My agenda is to pose passions, temptations, situations in front of people and test them. Now, at the end of the day, we do need a Yetzirah, because we know the Mesilas Yesharim. If we have no Yetzirah, we have no battle, no gain, no victory, no effort on our part, no olam haba. No reward, right? No pain, no gain. You don't put in the investment, you're not going to reap the benefits of your life and of your efforts and your growth. So on one hand, we do need a Yetzirah. But we certainly need to know what the Yetzirah's method of operation is to be able to defeat him. You want to know your enemy, you better know how they're going to attack. By sea or by air or by ground or by space, you better know how they're going to come, because you need to develop a system of defense to counter that attack. Says the Sarshal Esav to Yaakov Avinu, you want to know what I do? I am very good at getting people to adopt the philosophy of Lama zeh tishal lishmi. The words of the Sarshal Esav were exactly specific in answering the question. Why Lama zeh tishal lishmi? Why ask my name? Why think about it too much? Why analyze it? Don't overanalyze it. If it feels good, if it feels right, the moment is here, just go for it. And we have the ability, or the Yetzirah, I should say, has the ability to get us to sort of turn off our brain. And just at the critical moment when our job is to ask the question, is this right or is this wrong? Is this something that's going to be in my benefit, or is this something simply just to distract me from what I need to do? Of focusing at the moment at hand. What is really happening here? Lama zeh tishal lishmi. Why ask my name? And if that's the concept, Rabbi Isai, as I've mentioned over the years many times, that Nike, I don't know if they had this thought when they made up this idea, because you could turn it around and make it positive, I guess, if you wanted to. But certainly the idea of just do it, which has earned them how many billions of dollars over the years, is really a philosophy that basically says, just do it. So, in a sports context, yes, maybe it's a little bit different. Go ahead, go for it, and push yourself. But you can take those words, just do it, and pretty much make a life out of it. And make a mentality out of it. Don't ask about right and wrong. Don't analyze where this is coming from. Don't try to figure out the root of right and wrong, good or evil about this particular moment. If it's right, if it feels right, if the opportunity is there to zing somebody and blast him to the moon and embarrass him and put him to shame, if the temptation is there and it feels like this is what you want to jump into, if the habit you're developing you know full well is hurting you, and what you know you need to do is to separate from that particular temptation because it's dragging you down and bringing you to a pit that you know you can't escape from. People who are addicted, God forbid, to the various vices that are out there, be it gambling, be it drugs, be it pornography, and many other vices that are out there. We somehow can feel ourselves falling into that pit. And do we ask ourselves, what do I need to do to get out of this? What do I need to do to make sure I don't become that guy whose life goes down the tubes because he mortgages his home and has to divorce his wife and separate from his kids because he has no money left because he gambled it away because of his gambling addiction? Or his wife who feels that there is no connection because of what this guy developed in high school and now he's taking it to his late 20s or early 30s and he hasn't got rid of it yet and he refuses to even acknowledge that he has a problem? The drug addict who completely loses his whole perspective because, again, denial. The absolute number one quality and virtue, and I shouldn't say virtue, and characteristic of an addict is complete and total denial. I had a guy who was graduating. He was in my office. I said, okay, you can tell me the truth now. It's not about getting into trouble. It never was about getting into trouble. But just talk to me. Tell me the truth. If you're into this stuff with the marijuana and the drugs and all that, just let me know. I want to get you help. You're out of here. You're graduated. You're done. And he looked me in the eye and he swore on our stack of Sifrei Torah in the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu with every possible passionate feeling that you could ever muster in your life. And I said to myself, this guy can't be lying. Look at the way he answered me. And there was not 1 ounce of truth in what he said. Because when you're in that world, you so need to protect yourself that you can't see the forest from the trees. You just can't see white from black, and you just can't see anything. I don't know. It's frightening. This is what happens. And so often we know we can get out of that world. You can get out of it even when it's very, very tough, and God forbid you fell into that trap. But certainly before you fall into that world, as you may be slowly seeking into that world to grab that opportunity, grab that lifeline, and get out of that mess. And all you have to do is ask. Ask yourself, where am I? Be honest, look in the mirror and say, who am I really? What is really happening to me? Is this right or is this wrong? Or ask in any given situation, what is this going to do for me? As the Pirkei Avos tells us, it's all about making a cheshbon. It's called cheshbon hanefesh. Calculate, think, probe, ask, analyze. Everyone thinks that Judaism demands blind faith. It only demands blind faith once you've established in your mind a total clarity that this is true. Yeah, once it's true, then what are you going to start questioning God? We can't do that. It doesn't make sense. But our job is to analyze. That's why these books are on, and this is, maybe you can have a library 100 times this size. To have every sefer ever written on Torah. Because our job is to analyze. Our job is to ask. Our job is not to be blind and to be shallow and to be narrow. But very often when it comes to true issues of life, we don't want to ask. We don't want to go there. We don't want to start looking in the mirror and say, what's going on with me? What kind of help can I call out for to help me out of this situation? That requires asking. So Yaakov Avinu, Rabbi Yisai, in a sense, in asking, according to Rabbi Chaim Shmulevitz, when he asked this question, he was giving us an answer, a key component to the issue of how to be successful in life. Don't fall into that trap of Gary Hart and hundreds and thousands of others. In the Jewish world as well. It's not a place only for the Gentile world. Unfortunately, how many from people over the years have fallen into these traps? Nebuch made a Chil Hashem being on the front pages of newspapers because of some incredible problem that they had that became a front page story and having them end up in jail. People whose lives were so positive. They could have done so much for Klal Yisrael. Only to lose everything because they refused to ask, who am I? What am I doing? Where is this going? What's with me? How do I end up hurting these people? How do I deal with the Chil Hashem if it ever got out? Did you never ask that question? You never thought of that? And they'll tell you, no, that's what a lot of these Nebuch, these sick people who do different things and hurt kids and hurt women. I never thought I would never. How can I get caught? I can't get caught. I'm invincible. You really thought you're invincible? Like, hello? In today's world where you sneeze and it's on YouTube 12 seconds later, in this world of invincibility, you thought you're going to get away with this? What are you thinking? The answer is, Rabbi say he wasn't. The answer is he totally adopted this mentality of the Sar Shel Esav. Lama zeh tishal shmi. Why ask my name? Why take a good look in the mirror? Keep it simple. Keep it blind. Keep it focused on the desire ahead of you, and don't worry about the implications because that requires too much thought. So as we are fast approaching Hanukkah, Rabbi Yisai, it's the time of the ultimate battle that Hanukkah represents. The forces of good versus the forces of evil. Rishon biyad tzadikim, Rishon biyad tzadikim, Zaydim biyad oskei sarasecha. This is the ultimate battle that manifests itself during the time of Hanukkah. We have to know this. We have to realize we're on the front lines, and you can argue, and I don't think anybody could really say you're wrong. If you wanted to say that teenagers growing up today are in the most challenging, difficult battle of any teenager in the history of Klal Yisrael, you might very well be right. Can't say for sure because we don't live throughout every generation, but boy, there's a very good argument to say nobody faces the challenges you guys face. But the incredible inspirational reality is so many of you face it. And you ask the right questions. And you do the right things. The ones who don't, the ones who can't, have to learn from the guys who are doing it. The guys who are persevering. The guys who are stepping up, who have that strength to ask the right questions. And say, I can do it too. I don't want to develop those habits that are going to ruin my life. Rahman litzlan. Let me catch myself, let me pick myself up now and get that lifeline that's going to take me out of whatever challenges I face. And this is a concept for life, Rabbi Yisai. Before you jump in anywhere, ask the right questions. Make that cheshbon, make that calculation. And Bez Hashem, we can do that and recognize this is where the Yetzer Hara has its major strength. From the closing of one's mind, we need to open our minds, open our hearts, open our neshamas, make the right decisions. That's chus bizocha to be a Mashiach Mehedim.